This is the post-project world, and I am Luigi Pascal Rondanini. Part 1. I want to read you a job advert. Not for the role, for what it reveals. A Fintech company is hiring one Agile Product Manager. One person. Let me walk you through everything that person is expected to carry. Start with ownership. The product roadmap across 4 separate lines of business: Naira payments, foreign exchange, virtual cards, KYC, each with its own OKRs. Then the documents: business requirements documents, functional requirements documents, use case specifications, process flow diagrams, data flow diagrams, API requirement briefs, written to a standard engineering can build from without asking follow-up questions. Then the compliance design work. The entire tiered KYC framework, structured so regulatory obligation sits inside the user flow rather than bolted on top of it. Then the delivery mechanics, sprint planning, daily stand-ups, sprint reviews, retrospectives, backlog refinement, kept healthy at all times. Then testing and release, user acceptance testing defined against acceptance criteria the same person wrote, release sign-off in partnership with QA. Then measurement, event tracking design, dashboard construction, reporting against 4 named metrics, activation rate, time to first transaction, daily active users over monthly active users, net revenue retention. That is not a job description. That is an org chart collapsed into a single employment contract. Now look at what the company asks for in return. 4 to 6 years combined product and business analysis experience, not epic management in Jira. Written BRDs and FRDs produced under pressure in a regulated environment. Fluency in REST API documentation to the level of writing requirement specs from it directly. Working knowledge of payment rails, settlement flows, reconciliation logic, wallet architecture, and what the Central Bank of Nigeria expects to see at the product level. Direct experience building or owning KYC and KYB verification flows. And documentation precise enough that engineering needs minimal clarification before development starts. Then read the exclusions. The advert tells you exactly who need not apply. Anyone who writes user stories without acceptance criteria. Anyone who treats engineering as a black box. Anyone without payments, fintech, or regulated financial experience. This is not a wish list. This is a screen. The company already knows what failure looks like because it has almost certainly already happened once. Now the tools list, because tools tell you what the operating model actually is, regardless of what the job title claims. Jira at an advanced level. Figma for inspecting design specs, not for designing. Mixpanel for product analytics. Notion or Miro for process mapping. Postman for API review. Google Analytics. 6 different systems. No mention of a single system that connects them. No mention of anything that preserves the link between a regulatory requirement in one tool and the engineering ticket it produced in another. That link exists only in the person's memory and in whatever document they happen to update last. Here is the sentence that tells you everything. The advert states, and I am close to quoting directly, that the candidate must be able to operate without an existing structure. Structure is not required. The candidate is expected to behave as the structure until one exists. Stop there. Read that twice. This company is not hiring a product manager. It is hiring a load-bearing wall and calling it a job title. Translate this into coordination capital terms. Every function on that list, roadmap ownership, regulatory translation, engineering handoff, compliance embedding, release governance, is a coordination function. Coordination is not overhead. Coordination is capital. It has a cost basis. It has a required minimum. That minimum is the structural floor. This company has a structural floor. Every regulated organization does, whether it has named it or not. The question was never whether the floor exists. The question is where the floor is currently held. Right now, it is held in one person's head. Not in a system, not in an architecture, not in anything that survives a resignation letter. That is not resilience. That is concentration risk, and it is unpriced. Walk through the day, that person resigns. The roadmap logic lives with them. The regulatory interpretation lives with them. Every undocumented judgment call about what the KYC flow actually means, under pressure, on a Tuesday, in a meeting nobody wrote up, lives with them. None of it was ever on the books, because none of it was ever measured. A CFO would call this an unbooked liability. I call it coordination capital with no audit trail. Part 2. Stay with me. Here is where most people stop the analysis. They say, well, that is just how a lean team works. Startup culture. Wear many hats. Fine. That is a culture argument. I am not making a culture argument. I am making a capital argument, and the two are not the same thing. A hands-on culture is a design choice. An unmeasured, undocumented, single point of failure coordination structure is not a culture choice. It is a governance gap. Regulators do not audit culture. They audit structure. Auditors ask for evidence, not enthusiasm. Let me be specific about how the coordination capital ratio would actually treat this company. The numerator is estimated coordination capital, the value of the coordination work actually being performed, roadmap synthesis, regulatory translation, cross-functional handoff, release governance. The denominator is the organizational cost base. Divide one by the other, and you get the ratio. But the ratio only means something once you compare it against the structural floor. The minimum coordination and organization of this size in this regulatory environment structurally requires to remain compliant and coherent. For this company, the honest answer is that nobody has calculated either number. Not the numerator, not the floor. The coordination capital being carried right now is real, it is substantial, and it is entirely invisible to the balance sheet. That is not a small gap. That is the exact condition the doctrine was written to name. I want to be precise about what OrbaOS is, because it would be easy to hear this and assume the answer is better hiring practices or a more detailed job description. It is not. OrbaOS is not a methodology for writing tighter BRDs. It is not a consulting framework for interviewing product managers more rigorously. It is governance formalization architecture. Its purpose is to take coordination capital that currently exists only as informal judgment, sitting inside one person's head, and make it measurable, bookable, and auditable, independent of any single employee's tenure. Picture what that changes in practice for a company exactly like this one. The KYC framework design stops being a set of decisions this product manager made and remembers. It becomes a governed artifact with a version history, an owner of record, and a traceable link back to the specific regulatory clause it satisfies. The API requirement briefs stop being documents that live in one person's Notion workspace. They become nodes in a lineage, connected upstream to the business requirement that produced them and downstream to the engineering ticket and the release that closed them. None of this removes the product manager's judgment. It removes the requirement that their judgment be the only place that judgment is stored. That is the distinction that matters. A good product manager should be spending their time on prioritization, trade-offs, and interpretation. Right now, this role spends a significant share of its time being the connective tissue between 6 disconnected tools, because no connective tissue exists anywhere else. Formalize the coordination, and the connective tissue stops being a job requirement. It becomes infrastructure. The person becomes free to do the part of the job that actually required the person. So here is the reframe I want to leave you with. The next time you see a job advert asking one person to be the roadmap, the compliance translator, the release authority, and the analytics function, do not read it as ambition. Read it as disclosure. The company is telling you, in plain language, exactly where its coordination capital sits and exactly how undefended it is. That is not a hiring problem. That is a structural floor problem. And structural floor problems do not get solved by finding the right person. They get solved by building the architecture that no longer requires one.